Welcome back. Email marketing can be an important tool for many small businesses, but now companies must comply with the canned spam legislation passed this year. Jenkins is the CEO of BrightWave Marketing. Joins me now to discuss canned spam compliance. Welcome.
Thanks, Lane. It's good to be here.
Canned spam. Explain it in a nutshell, first of all.
Sure. It's a law that was signed into effect by President Bush January 1st of this year, and it's the first legal guidelines that have been put into place within the email marketing industry. Previously, it's been the Wild West, where there haven't been any restrictions on what you can or can't do, and now there's legal guidelines.
There are legal guidelines, but I don't know about you, but I get just as much spam, if not more, today in my inbox than I did before this legislation was signed.
Yes, there's no easy cure in fixing the barrage of spams that continue to come into people's inbox. These really have made more legitimate email marketers and companies using email marketing get their house in order and utilize best practices, which is good for the industry, but we're still working on shutting down spammers.
Let's talk about compliance here. People who are above board, people operating their business, what are the types of issues that they need to consider? What's the top issue that they need to understand about complying with canned spam?
The top issue certainly is that you must have in every email that you send a working and clear unsubscribe link or email address that allows the recipient to easily remove themselves from the list. And alongside that, you must promptly remove that recipient within 10 days, which is easier said than done for some large companies that have multiple mailing lists and sophisticated databases. That's really the key part.
Now, there are many people who have been using email for years that are actually programmed now not to push the unsubscribe button because it's been thought that the spammers out there that are sending these things out, if you unsubscribe, all that does is tell them that you have a real email address, and then they sell it to more people.
Right. That's certainly an issue, and these are by no means a quick fix for the industry, but it certainly at least draws the line in the sand for what companies should be following. And it
really comes down to recognizable brands or companies that people have dealt with in the past, that those, if you're going to unsubscribe, if you trusted them to provide a product or service or know their name in the first place, you could probably trust them to take them off their list.
Absolutely. And the bottom line is the email marketing is a relationship tool, and it's going to work best when you have someone's permission.
A valid physical address of the sender. No P.O. boxes as far as email is concerned. That's also part of the canned spam. How does that work?
Yes, every email that goes out must have a valid physical mailing address. I think this is somewhat to distinguish the spammers that are working out of basements and all over the place. So you have an actual address that you want to follow up with to make sure that company's legit.
And that needs to be printed on the email that's sent out all the marketing?
Every single email, and it's pretty amazing that in some informal studies and analysis that we've done, a lot of well-known brands are not including this. And this is arguably the easiest point of the canned spam compliance to follow.
Clear and conspicuous identification that the message is an advertisement, that this is clearly something that it's a pitch, and this shouldn't be too difficult to comply with, right?
No, and this is probably the most controversial aspect of the law, because a lot of people are pushing for the canned spam law to only allow emails to go out where permission has been granted by the recipient. So this still allows people to email you where you haven't opted in to receive anything from them. The catch with that is that it must be clearly identified as a business solicitation or an advertisement.
So how do you, working in this marketing scheme, help people do this right and get the results that they need? What are the types of strategies that you employ for your clients to get them to make their email work?
Yeah, well, short-term and long-term planning is really of paramount importance. There's a lot of companies that, let's see how emails go, let's try to trigger some revenue, but it's really about building a long-term relationship with that client. So we work on strategical and tactical operations, all sorts of different tests, and then making sure, above all, that they're compliant with the canned spam law, that their databases are set up to remove people promptly, and everything else that goes along.
Beyond compliance, though, what do you tell them? What do you advise them? Here's your best way to keep these people interested in your brand or product or service, and doing it through email marketing.
Be straightforward. Make sure the subject lines, the from lines are very clear. That's one of the big parts of canned spam compliance and one of the big things that spammers do to deceive. But then make sure that they realize why you've signed up for that newsletter in the first place. Make a unique, strong value proposition that's very clear in the newsletter. Otherwise, you may say there's no value for me in receiving this newsletter, and I get enough emails already, so I'm going to unsubscribe. So it's really about conveying a strong message and why that person should continue to receive your newsletter.
Very interesting. Jenkins, thank you very much.
Thank you.
He is the CEO of BrightWave Marketing. We have plenty still ahead here on Bloomberg Small Business. Stay with us. Back after this.